On this episode of Driving Leadership, I get to go for a ride with Executive Director of Leadership Greater Syracuse, Pam Brunet. Come on, let's go. So with me today is Pam Brunet. Pam, thank you for being on Driving Leadership with me.
Thank you, Bill. This is going to be fun.
Well, I am so looking forward to this ride because we have two things I know of in common.
Okay, what's that?
Well, I want to talk about the first one.
Okay.
The first one is you are an award-winning apple pie baker.
Hey!
And I love apple pie.
Yay!
So tell me about the apple pie.
So, I guess when I first met my husband, he's one of 9, and I went to my first Christmas party, holiday celebration, and there was a lot of people there, and I tasted my mother-in-law's pie, and I was like, I wasn't a big fanatic about pies, but I was like, this pie's like really good. So I enjoyed it, and then the next year I said, hey, how did you make that pie? So she kind of gave me a lesson. Actually, I went to go watch her make it. Yeah. And because the family's so huge, she was making like 10 pies at once.
Oh, wow.
Like, I can't follow that. So anyhow, so it was interesting that one year, so for Christmas one year, she gave me as a gift, she gave me her recipe.
Okay.
Rolling pin and such. And
that's nice.
I tried to learn how to make it. So I live in Lafayette, right? Apple country.
Yeah.
So I was trying to learn how to make apple pies, and I failed miserably. I didn't do well. I gave up. And then she passed.
Oh.
And I said, you know what, in my mother-in-law's honor, I've got to figure this out. So I spent more time, and I started making it. My husband said, this is getting good. And I'm like, really? And he's like, this is getting good. You got to bring it to Thanksgiving. I'm like, I am not bringing it to the family, So it ended up tasting well, and then we said, I live in Lafayette. There's an apple festival. So I brought it down to the Apple Fest, and there you go.
Yeah.
The blue ribbon.
All right. Blue ribbon apple pie. Yeah, in apple country.
In apple country.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome. The second piece we have in common is a passion for leadership.
Oh, yeah.
And so you are the Executive Director of Leadership Greater Syracuse.
Right.
Awesome program. Tell me more about the program. I've had the honor of speaking there. Folks on my team have partnered with you. Tell me about the program.
So our mission is to inspire people to take an active role in the community. So that's where everything comes from, is our mission. And we actually offer 3 programs where we just immerse people in the challenges and the achievements of the community, and we build their leadership skills along the way. And when they leave us from any one of our 3 programs, they are now inspired and connected and have the knowledge to go and do great things for our community. Which brings us more so to the leadership part of it, and that is diversity. We want to make sure that there's every type and kind in the room, because you can really learn when people think differently from you.
Yeah.
And under the context of getting involved in the community, right? When people are out serving on boards, running for office, you're going to work with the people who are very different from you. So we need to know how to work in that way.
So how do people find you? How do people get to apply for your program?
So anyone can apply over the age of 18. Okay. For the flagship program. Mm-hmm. And they find us. I think now, because we're 32 years old.
Yeah.
Our word of mouth is really great.
Awesome.
And I think we're really at a place nationally, and maybe with the demographics of the folks who are at work and age, corporate social responsibility has really taken off.
Yes.
And leadership has really obviously taken off. And I think there's more of an acknowledgement that anyone can be a leader, and we're all leaders, and we all can aspire to be business leaders and community leaders. But I think we're in this intersection between civic engagement, corporate social responsibility, and leadership. So, and that just seems to be pretty popular, not just here, but across the country.
Oh, absolutely. So there's such a great need for the work you're doing in communities all around the country, of course. But tell me about the impact you're making here in Syracuse.
Yeah, so we've been around for 32 years, and that flagship program has been around for 32 years. And every couple of years, I poll are graduates, and we've got almost 1,400 people who've been through the program.
Wow.
Really thrilled to say that 85% of those who've been through our program still live in Central New York.
Okay, good retention.
Good retention.
Yeah.
And then we also asked them where they've been involved, and they've told us they've volunteered for more than 800 volunteer positions.
Wow.
So and it runs the gambit. You know, I brag about my friend in Lafayette who rescues donkeys. Who knew that donkeys need to be rescued? But I'm glad if they do, somebody's taking care of them.
That is, yeah.
All the way up to someone who just ran for Congress.
Wow.
Was in a primary for Congress.
So that is diverse. So how did you get into this role? I mean, this found you, or you aspired? Come on, because I love to hear about how leaders find their place, their role.
Right.
And there's so many great stories. Share yours.
You know, my career, I spent 17 years at Bristol Myers Squibb doing community relations work. But I went to college for public relations and journalism.
Okay.
So I'm a communicator.
Yep.
I'm a writer.
Yeah.
I was at Bristol Myers Squibb doing community relations work, and it's where I found Leadership Greater Syracuse, and I was fortunate to be chosen to participate in Leadership Greater Syracuse, the flagship program.
Okay.
In 1998.
Yeah.
And I went through the program, and I was all in. I was like, I love this.
So you started as a participant.
I started as a participant.
Yeah.
And then when my position was eliminated at Bristol, I was very grateful to have some outplacement coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was hard. I was there for 17 years, so I had to really grieve and redefine who I would be without that profession. It's Leadership Greater Syracuse. Like, I could work for Leadership Greater Syracuse.
So tell me what motivates you as a leader. That is some of my keenest interests to understand, really just human motivation altogether. But I think this space of leadership is so important because we influence others. Right? So I think we have a big responsibility in that. But what motivates you to lead?
I don't think I got out of bed at 18 years old or even at 45 and said, I'm going to be a leader.
Right.
I think knowing my passion, knowing my skills, having some privilege, and having a little bit of luck helped me understand who I am and what motivates me. So when I know for me, connecting people to passion, when our community benefits, that's it. That's for me. Like, I know this. So, and while I don't do the day in and day out work, we have a program director who does that work. I have the business acumen to actually run the business. So I can understand, you know, I'm doing everything in my power to keep the business side running. And it involves absolutely being in the community and being with people, but it's also picking the insurance and buying the cyber liability insurance. And I have that skill too.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I am leading. I know that I probably wouldn't want to run, you know, the American Red Cross nationally. I don't have that desire. I want to run this smaller organization where I can see direct impact, like, all the time.
So what are the challenges in your leadership right now? What's happening in the Syracuse area, or generally speaking, what are you challenged with in running a small business?
So I am running a small business, and I think, like all small businesses, now we're post-COVID. We absolutely had our stress during COVID. Our goal was to put 50 people in a room to bond and connect, and we couldn't do that for quite a bit of time. So, but we got through that, and I'm really proud of us for doing that, and also for doing it in a way that was still meaningful to the folks who participated in our program. But I think always being a business, it's about the agility, and I want to make sure we're going to be around for a while. So sometimes you just got to follow the money a little bit. So it's like we're charging a rate that is, for our flagship program, we're charging enough money to keep us in business, but we're not charging exactly what it costs us, so it puts me in a place to fundraise. When you think of Leadership Greater Syracuse, we're not a traditional charity, so it makes fundraising different. It's okay, but it's different. So then I say, okay, what does the community need that is aligned with our mission, where we can charge folks to participate in? and always probably be in a position of scholarships and folks or whatever. So,
Absolutely.
So I'd like to evolve our strategy a little bit more toward, putting more programs together or having more folks participate in stuff that is aligned with our mission, so that I could do maybe a little less fundraising.
Okay.
But I am still supportive of the fundraisers.
Of
We'll
course.
probably always be fundraising.
If anything different, what do you think you're hearing as far as challenges in leadership in Central New York?
I think what I'm hearing is people are starting to be more open about their own personal and work challenges.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of folks at the leadership level that are saying, okay, this is tough right now.
Okay.
I need to take time for myself.
Yes.
And they're doing, I really am thankful that people are doing a little bit more self-care
Yeah.
at high levels of leadership. And I think that's been challenging for them, because it was always pushing, and most leaders are very driven to succeed, and they take that pressure. They're good with pressure, but they take that pressure on, and they're not taking care of themselves. So.
And that self-care is so important. I really understand that tension. What else is going on in leadership in this area for you?
I think, too, for me, under the context of community, I think we're finally a community that realizes that we're not connecting people to the community, many people to the community, and that we need everyone at the table. We need to connect all, because there are so many people who are passionate about the community who, for many reasons, systemic and otherwise, are just not a part of the conversation. And I am here to tell you, I am so happy to see progress in this area, and specifically as it comes to people of color. I'm really starting to see progress. Women, people of color now having a voice, having seats at the table, and it's a recognition that there have been folks that haven't had a seat at the table in the past and are now getting it. And that's tricky too, because now, are we ready for folks? That's another part of it.
Right, that readiness. Yeah, I think leaders are connectors, right? I mean, obviously, we're at a place of influence, but the connecting opportunity we have, the relating opportunity, I think is as equally important as what we achieve from either productivity or whatever we get done.
Right.
So important. What are the barriers? What are the barriers to connecting that you're finding?
Some of it, Bill, is very interesting. I think it's a couple things. People don't know how on their own. They may have a desire, but they're not sure how. The other part is that's not that it's not for me mentality, but it's like, I want to, I don't know how, where do I start? And this is under the context of community leadership. There are people like, you read articles, you're in tune with what's happening in the community, and you're like, oh, you're mad about something, or it's something you feel passionate about, and why is this happening? Some people aren't making that leap to say, oh, I could be a part of that, of creating a solution, because they can. I believe in our community, it's the town of 1 degree of separation.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
it's a small town.
I've worked in this community for a long time, but I still get to meet new people.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's so cool that I still get to meet new people all the time. And so I think there's a little bit of an empowerment thing. Like, people may have the desire to give back to the community and be leaders in the community, but they don't know where to start, but they also are like, who, me? I can do that? And I see that a lot with Leadership Greater Syracuse. At the end, we survey folks when they're done, and they realize little things matter. Little things matter. Doing little things in the community matter. But I can make a difference. In this town, one person truly can make a difference. And that's an attribute to the size of the organization, of our community.
It's because of that intimacy, if I can call it that, with your community that you really value.
Right.
Because I can actually relate to what you're talking about. I feel like I'm equipped. I'm not trying to brag.
Right.
I feel like I'm equipped. I feel like I'm connected enough, and even I'm new to the community. Honestly, I've only been in the Syracuse area for about 3.5 years now. Always been in Central New York, closer to the southern tier, but I'm finding some real challenges in being able to connect outside of my known circle.
Right.
And some of that, I am waking up more and more to my circle is very white.
Right.
But people of color, not so much. And I don't know how to connect.
Right. I think there's
I don't know where to start, like what you said earlier.
Right. There's a piece of it that's just, isn't there a book that like is attracted to like?
Yeah, and there's some
like there's human nature, right?
Yeah, so there's two elements that research really shows in that space, that we tend to gravitate towards similarities. So that's your like is attracted to like, and this is in social science. We also tend to limit our proximity.
Right.
And so proximity isn't an issue here because this is a diverse community.
Right.
So maybe it is the like attracts to like, and there's something to more intentionally, I don't want to say break, but challenge there for ourselves.
Right.
I don't know where to start.
Right. I think the coolest part about all that too is, like anything, recognition first.
Yeah, right.
You're like, holy cow, I look around, why is this like this? And now I don't go any room without noticing things anymore.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
Once the bell rings, you can't unring it, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like the recognition, comes first. And then after that, it's like, all right, I'm going to lean into it, right? And so when you have to go where people are, so you have to make friends. And when you have to make a conscious effort. It's about authentic relationships.
Yeah.
And going and leaning into that when you have the opportunity. But you gotta.
No, I think that's an important reminder, Pam, that it's, if you try to force it or manufacture it, that works in some contexts, of course. All right, to your point, we don't have to be best friends with everyone we work with or all of our clients. It's lovely when friendships are created there, but to do it authentically.
What's too interesting is time is your friend. So when I started at Leadership Greater Syracuse, the people who were applying, we had a deficit in the number of people of color applying, in my opinion. We had, what's the right number and what does the census show? And then we just agree we have to be better than the number because we do live in a racially segregated community. I believe that. But now we had the highest number of applications in our history. Our next year's cohort is better than the census in terms of people of color. And you know what? It's 10 years of work.
Yeah,
and authentic relationships. I've had folks go through our program, especially people of color who are now champions of the program, and they bring their networks. We talk a lot about how you bring your whole self, so when we can be genuine in our intention and develop these relationships, and I said our word of mouth is really great, so let's take advantage of that. And then there's trust. Trust is a big thing.
Sure.
With new relationships. So.
No, that is big. Actually, so we had worked with a consultant at Emergent to really better understand this landscape of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We think as trained professional coaches, we're very, very open people anyway, but you can't rest on your laurels, right? You can't just say, well, we believe in it. What are we missing? What would we like to do about that? And the subject of trust is really important. Building those authentic, trusting relationships with whomever you're working with, however you're expanding your circle, your network. Yeah, it's so important.
That's right. And you can do it in this town because it's available. It's here.
So Pam, thank you so much for being on Driving Leadership with me. I always enjoy when we get together and have meetings. But this was special. This was really special. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time to always see you, Bill. We always have good conversations, and thank you for letting me talk about LGS and
absolutely.
my personal experience. And it's been fun work.